Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2021 action film Boss Level, a film that is directed by Joe Carnahan and it stars Frank Grillo, Mel Gibson, Naomi Watts, Will Sasso and Annabelle Wallis. Now this film focuses on Frank Grillo's character Roy, who is an ex-military specialist, and he essentially, we learn from frame one, is stuck in a time loop. And he spends the rest of his movie trying to negotiate himself through the final day of his life, essentially, as he keeps dying on this day. There is a number of assassins that are following him around and doing their utmost to kill him. Some he manages to negotiate through, others he doesn't, and he always manages to basically end up getting killed by one of them at some point in the day. So he spends day after day after day in this death loop, as he calls it, trying to figure out what's going on, how he can prevent this, and eventually really trying to figure out how he can put an end to all this. So what is my thoughts on Boss Level? Now, on the surface of this, the premise here obviously has been done before. Groundhog Day, obviously. You've got Edge of Tomorrow, and you've got Happy Death Day. They've all played around with this premise to varying degrees of success, I think it's fair to say. So the premise here isn't particularly new, but do they make the most of this premise? And I have to be really honest here, and I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I thought it was deeply entertaining and a huge amount of fun for as an action film. It really delivered here. And yes, Frank Grillo, these are the sort of films we want to see you in, not some of the low-level B movies that you've been showing up in over the last couple of years. This is the level of quality you need to be in. I thought Frank Grillo was absolutely fantastic here. He held the screen. He was great in all the action sequences. And I would like to see more of this, definitely, from Frank Grillo. I think Joe Carnahan, the director, is severely underrated. He's done some really fantastic films over the years. Underrated films. They always seem to go under the radar, you know, like he did The A-Team, I believe. He did The Grey, I think, with Liam Neeson. He's done loads of other stuff. He always does good quality films, and they never seem to crack through to the mainstream. But he's a great action director, and then this is arguably his best work. I just thought it was fantastic. I thought it was light-hearted at times. It was fun. The action scenes were really competently done, really slick, really worked. It felt fresh and modern. And then to put the cherry on the cake, you've got Mel Gibson, who, granted, I would have liked to have seen more Mel Gibson in this film. We get a hint at like a real showdown between Frank Grillo and Mel Gibson in this film, but it never fully really gives you what you want in regards to Mel Gibson. He has a couple of moments to shine in the film, but he's great, is Mel Gibson in this film as well. What time he does get, I would just like to have seen more of him. Will Sasso as well, I thought was quite fun. His character was like the head henchman for Mel Gibson, who's playing like this corrupt, like, military guy. And surprisingly as well, Naomi Watts was really good in this film. She had this really good chemistry, I thought, with Frank Grillo. Of these, you know, they used to be an item. They've got a son together, and he's trying really hard to make things right with her, and she's running this big scientific project, etc., etc. You got it, and you know, there was definitely some chemistry there. So huge amounts of this film, I think, really worked, and I was super entertained by it. If I'm going to give any criticisms to this film, it's simply this, really. I think tonally it's a little bit off, and by that I mean at times, like I say, it's very light-hearted and fun, and it's almost dipping its toes in light comedy at times, the film. And then there are other moments where it really gets quite deep and dark and intense. I mean, they're actually, they're dealing with the end of the world at one point in this film. And it all gets a bit, oh, hang on a minute, I was, having a laugh and a giggle 10 minutes ago, and now we're contemplating the end of the world type stuff. And you know, and it all gets a bit timey-wimey, wobbly-wobbly, and all that kind of stuff, as time travel stroke time loop type films tend to do. But as a straight, fun, entertaining action flick that's borrowing premise of films that have done this premise before, I think it does it superbly. I think it's right up there with the best in regards to playing around with this genre. I really do believe that. They threw everything at the screen here, and the vast majority of it, I think, really worked. I mean, Joe, I just can't understand why Joe Carnahan can't really cut a break, it would seem. You know, he seems to be gathering this cult following, and he does great films. I just can't understand why this film hasn't really garnered as much attention as I think it probably deserves. It's easily right up there with one of my favourite films I've watched so far this year. Just for entertainment value, you know. It's not highbrow stuff, you know. It doesn't take itself too seriously. You've got Mel Gibson chewing up scenery when he's on the screen. You've got Frank Grillo absolutely kicking ass, and I really mean that. He's really fantastic in this role. You know, he looks great. I mean, he's usually in great shape anyway, Frank Grillo. But my God, he got shredded for this part. He really got himself prepared for this part. And for me, it's a shame that it potentially might not be the role that will push Frank Grillo onto another level, which I think this performance deserves. So I'm really complimentary about this film. I really liked it. Yes, I would have liked more Mel Gibson. Yes, it's a little bit tonally off at times, and the ending kind of leaves you with a little bit of a unsatisfaction. You don't get the happy conclusion that you might want. But I still really enjoyed this film. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Really looking forward to adding it to my collection when I get that opportunity. And it's a film action fans out there, science fiction fans out there, fans of this premise, definitely worth giving this one a try. So yeah, that is my review for Boss Level. I hope you liked it. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, I will be back with more reviews on the channel very soon.